Usborne Books and More has some really great books that we call homework helpers. They are books that are designed to help develop school skills that your kids might need, or help educate and teach them about different things they might be learning about in school. They make great reference books or practice books, and I just wanted to show you a few just to give you a feel of what we have. Here's a couple of newer ones, like a fractions and decimals activity book or the adding and subtracting activity book. These are workbooks for your kids to practice those math skills, but they come with these great pictures, illustrations. They connect them to other fun things so that it's not just like a black and white page of math problems. Like here's one that they're doing percentages, but they're doing percentages to figure out which team gets the trophy. So that one's like sports related. Or there's like a fraction, one of the fractions and decimals that's about pizza, which I like because I care much more about dividing my food evenly than I care about just fractions on their own. So kind of shows in practical use. Love those. The Lift the Flap series is excellent. It's a really good series of books that gives an interactive element to education. And so there's the Lift the Flap First Questions and Answers series. Great for preschoolers. A lot of just good facts about different things they're trying to figure out. Like this one, What Makes It Rain, is about all kinds of weather. When do rainbows appear? How hot is the sun? Why does the sun look like it does? Why does lightning happen? Where does thunder come from? Where does wind come from? All those questions that you get asked and you may not always be able to answer. There's one of these on the body, on the senses. There's all kinds of topics that you can find if you search Lift the Flap First Questions and Answers. That's just one. Lift the Flap Numbers is a great one for your younger preschooler who's just learning how to count, because it's going to give them all these great little scenes and they're counting. Like in this one, it's the zoo scene. When they count how many lions they are, then they can lift the flap to check if they counted the right number of lions. And it has all kind of fun scenes that little ones love. So I love that great interactive counting book. And this is our Lift the Flap Computers and Coding, with lots of good information about computers. And it actually has some extra resources online that it sends them to where they can log on and learn even more. And we actually have several books on coding and teaching coding and that sort of thing. So if your kids are into coding computers, this is a great book, or any of our coding books would be great for them. Okay, this series I think is fascinating. It's called well, this is not serious. This is not a science book, this is not a math book, and this is not another math book. So they call them smart art activity books. They basically combine art with math and science. So your kid is doing something like making their own 3D drawing, or art on a slant. They're doing all these cool things that if your kid likes to draw or do art stuff, this is going to be a lot of fun for them, but at the same time, it's teaching them how these things connect to math. Same thing with the science one, the Smart Science Activity book. It's going to have a lot of fun activities and things that they can draw and do, but it's also teaching them all this great science stuff. So these are for like older elementary kids. I think they're recommended for about 8, 9, or 10 years old, but I love these. I think they're fascinating because they're kind of sneaking in the math and science on them. This is a picture book series that we sell. It comes actually as a unit of all 4 books. You buy it as the weather book pack. I bought this actually a year ago for my daughter, so at the time she was 3, and we read them. They're just really sweet picture books to read, but they do actually teach them about the different seasons. So about snow, about wind, about the sun, and about rain. And this was a really great one for my young preschooler to just sort of help conquer some weather questions. Another great preschooler book about things outdoors is my first reference book about nature. I think this is an excellent book. It's just all about different things in nature. My little ones are fascinated with the outdoors, so this is a great one for preschoolers, kindergartners, even young elementary, because it's not too basic, and it teaches them all about different kinds of things: trees and seeds and birds and animals and the food chain. Just really fascinating things. I'm not gonna lie, I have learned a thing or two from this book, but a really great book that your kids will not get tired of. We have a whole series of the My Very First books, and this is one of them, My Very First Space book. Again, a really cool book that teaches them all about space. I read this one recently to my daughter, and she just got all into it and wanted to know more about rocket ships and astronauts living in the space station and the planets. She'd never really clued into the planets before, and after we read this, she started talking about the different planets and all that kind of good stuff. So a really great educational book there. We have the Children's Picture Atlas, which I just think everyone should have one of these in their house, because at some point you're going to be talking about some place and you can pull it out and it has maps in it, but it also talks about geology and geography, so it teaches them a little bit more, like grasslands versus tropical areas and things of that nature. It's not just a map book. It's actually all about the different terrains they're going to find in the world, and then they can get to the map and see more of the world, and there's more detailed ones, as you can see. And I love that they put the little pictures that kind of help them know what they're looking at, or animals that are native to those lands, things of that nature. So very cool book, very educational. It even has an index, which I think is fun, because I started to use it to teach my daughter about an index, because she didn't know what that was. I was like, we can, when she asked me about a country, we look in the back and find it on the index, and then we go to that page. So more education. And then we have this whole the Big Book of series. These are great, again, for preschool, kindergarten age, and there's a whole bunch of them. This is the Big Book of the Body. These are cool because, again, lots of great factual information that your kids can learn. And then they have these cool, super long fold-out pages that you can't even really see because it's so long, and I don't think I hold my phone up that high. But check that out. That gives them these great illustrations that fold out. There's a bunch of these on a bunch of different topics. The Big Book of Colors is cool because, again, it takes them beyond just red, yellow, blue to all the different kinds of yellow there are. Great educational books. I recommend any of these books and so many more in any of these series, but definitely pick up a homework helper or two. It's great when you can combine the fun of reading with learning and really help your kids expand their knowledge. So please ask any questions. Find more of these great books at usbornwithjanae.com.